In February 2026, a crane lifted the last piece into place, 172 meters above Barcelona. The Sagrada Familia was finally the tallest church in the world. It had taken 144 years. When people asked the architect why it was so slow, he gave the same answer every time. "My client," he said, "is not in a hurry. He knew he would never see it finished. He knew that everyone who started it would be dead long before it was done. So he did something stranger than building a church. He built a way for other people to finish it without him." Barcelona, 1882, the city had just torn down its medieval walls and was pushing north into open fields. A bookseller named Joseph Maria Boccabella had spent years collecting small donations, coin by coin, to build a temple, not with government money, not with a rich patron, with whatever ordinary people put in the box. That detail matters more than it sounds. A building paid for by donations can only advance as fast as the donations arrive. From the first day, this was a church with no deadline because it had no budget. On the 19th of March, they laid the first stone. The design was conventional neo-Gothic, drawn by an architect named Francisco de Paula de Villar. Work began on the crypt. Within a year, Villar resigned after a disagreement over materials. The commission passed to a 31-year-old. His name was Antoni Gaudi. He inherited a crypt already rising out of the ground, and he had to keep building it. But everything above that crypt he changed completely. He threw out the Gothic plan. What he drew instead had no straight walls and no flying buttresses. It had towers like termite mounds and columns that leaned. His assistants could see it. Almost nobody could see how it would ever stand up. To understand why it looks like that, you have to understand what he was arguing against. Gothic cathedrals need buttresses because their arches push outwards. The stone wants to fall, and the buttress holds it in. Gaudi thought that was an admission of failure. He called them crutches. A building that needs crutches, he said, was badly designed in the first place. He wanted a building where every stone pushed straight down, where nothing had to be propped up, where the structure was the decoration and the decoration was the structure. To do that, he needed to find, for every arch and every column, the exact shape that gravity itself would choose. He had no computers. There was no mathematics available to him that could solve it. So he stopped trying to calculate it, and he let gravity do the calculation for him. He hung strings from a wooden frame. From each string, he hung a small bag of lead shot, weighted in proportion to the load that part of the building would carry. Released, the strings fell into curves, not curves he designed, curves that gravity found. A hanging chain under its own weight makes the one shape that carries pure tension. Turn that shape upside down, and the same curve carries pure compression, no bending, no sideways push, no buttress. So he photographed the hanging model and turned the photograph upside down. There was the church. He first built that machine for a small chapel outside Barcelona at Colonia Güell. It took him 10 years. It is the method behind everything you are looking at. The leaning columns are not a style, and they are not decoration. They lean at the angle the strings found. And when he needed surfaces to close the roof, he took them from nature. From the twist of a bone, from reeds, from shells. Hyperboloids, paraboloids, helicoids. Curved surfaces that can be drawn entirely with straight lines, which means they can be built by masons working with straight edges. The Nativity facade went up while he was alive, and it is the only part he saw nearly finished. Every plant on it is a real plant. Every animal was cast from a real animal. He brought donkeys and chickens into the workshop and made plaster molds of them. The faces of the saints are the faces of his neighbors, people who lived on the streets around the site. He was building a stone forest, and he filled it with the living things of Catalonia, carved at full size, hundreds of them. It took him more than 30 years to finish one facade out of 3. From 1914, he refused every other commission. For 12 years, he worked on nothing else. He stopped caring how he looked. He wore the same worn suit until it fell apart, and he ate whatever the workmen ate. In his last months, he moved into the workshop on the site to sleep beside the models. He was 73. The temple was perhaps a quarter built, and he knew exactly what that meant. He would die inside a building site. On the 7th of June 1926, Gaudi walked to church as he did every evening. Crossing the Gran Via, he was struck by a tram. He carried no documents, and he was dressed like a beggar. Taxi drivers refused to pick him up. He was taken to a hospital for the poor, and nobody recognized him until the following day. By then, it was too late to move him. He died 3 days later. Barcelona buried him inside his own crypt. Under the building he had not finished, and the streets along the route were full. What he left behind was not a set of drawings. Drawings could not describe those surfaces. What he left behind was a workshop full of plaster models, built at 1 to 10 and 1 to 25. The models were the instructions. 10 years later, the Civil War reached the site. The workshop was broken open and burned. The drawings went, the photographs went, and the plaster models, the ones that held the geometry nobody had written down, were smashed across the floor. Gaudi had left instructions. The instructions were now thousands of pieces of broken plaster, so they picked up the pieces. For decades, architects sat at long tables fitting fragments back together, working from burned photographs and from memory, an archaeology of a building that did not exist yet. It is the strangest part of the story. For most of the 20th century, the people building this church were not designing it, they were trying to read it. Even reassembled, the shapes were almost impossible to cut by hand. A single column could take a mason months. The work could not go faster than the understanding. That changed when computers arrived. Gaudi's surfaces are ruled geometry, which is exactly what software describes well, and exactly what a robot can carve. The building had been waiting for tools that had not been invented yet. What took a mason a month now took a machine a day. One more thing was missing. In 2019, the city discovered that the basilica had never had a building permit. The original application from 1885 had simply never been processed. It had been under construction illegally for 137 years. They paid €4.5 million and the paperwork was finally in order. Then came the tower. The central tower of Jesus Christ rose above all the others through to 2025, and in February 2026, the final section of its cross was lifted into place, 172.5 meters. The tallest church on earth, taller than Ulm, taller than Cologne. It was finished in the year of the centenary of Gaudi's death and blessed on the exact day 100 years later, and it stops there deliberately. Montjuïc, the hill behind the city, is 1 meter taller. Gaudi set that limit himself. His work, he said, should never stand higher than God's. The building is still not completely done. The glory facade and its great staircase will take another decade, but the shape is closed. He began with string and small bags of lead. It was finished with robots. 9 chief architects, 4 generations of masons, 2 wars, and 144 years. Almost everything changed. The only thing that did not change was the idea.